I think the first series I'm trying to do, right, is going to be called Mana lah saya tahu, saya cuma ham cimpeng. It's recording now. Hi, my name is Ivan Lam. I'm a Malaysian contemporary artist. And this is going to be my first art podcast. And why am I doing this podcast? Solely because I want to share my experience of being in this industry for the past 30 years, insight, lesson learned throughout the years. So I hope you guys will join me for this adventure. I'm really proud to be part of this. After decades, 3 decades to be precise, I feel that I have enough knowledge to share with people that are in the art industry, starting in the art industry, and anything that in between, art enthusiasts, I will call it. And then I felt that in this type of platform, it could create a bit more of a dialogue, of a discourse on certain topics that viewers, people that listen to it could share, topics that are relevant in the industry. That I find that when I was growing up, when I was embarking on this journey, wasn't there to begin with. So it plugs in some of the missing gaps. And how is my podcast different? I don't think so there's going to be any vast differences. I think art is, in general, very universal. And topics that might, in title, sound different, but I think intrinsically they are the same. And every segment after this, right, will be topics that are close to my heart and also close to the industry that we are all enthusiastically lumped in. And how this podcast in itself, right, would be a discussion, and also why we should have this type of discourse in our art scene, which is sadly missing. So let's start the ball rolling and see where it will take us. I think also in this podcast, art criticism, in-depth dialogue are often missing in the Malaysian art scene, where what is written about art is purely informative. There's nothing wrong with that at all. I think there could be more in-depth discussion about art, and it's not shared. It's always in the murmurs of the dark corridors or murmurs at the side behind the wall. Or when you're in front of a painting, you kind of talk to the people next to you or not. But no one actually bring it out. I don't mean to sound controversial or for the sake of being controversial. But I really believe that in-depth criticism, positive, constructive criticism is sorely missing in the art scene. I think this podcast would enables me to really fill in the gaps that my visual work couldn't. And it should also be able to add another dimension when people look at the work accompanied by things I want to say. Because every time during an exhibition of my work, I'm not there all the time. And this podcast will give it, will cocoon it, will wrap it maybe closer to what I intend to say in the work. And I hope that really helps. And also sharing this podcast is a way to leave behind a legacy. I know this word legacy sounds really heavy. I don't want you guys to take it as that. Maybe a remnants of what's left behind. A few years later, 10 years later, the people look back and go like, wow, what is this guy babbling on about? It's something to leave behind. People might find a nugget of information that they find as pertinent to their art practice. And I think if that really happens, right, I've done my job and I could rest easy. It's also a way for me to capture things that I've forgotten, a way for me to reflect on my own career and to share those reflections to a wider audience that I couldn't before this. And to conclude my first podcast, this is what I want to have to say. It's not easy. I don't know how I made it from the start to the beginning. I'm supposed to summarize. What is it, summarize? There's not really much thing to say, and I really thought that it would be fun to put it together and to see how it goes. So if there's any comments, any topics that you guys want to talk about, right, please share it with me in your comments, and I would love to hear your thoughts about it. Thank you for joining me for my art podcast, my first one. Thank you.